Be live.
Hi.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome to our recording of our podcast.
Indeed. Copy, paste. Why anyone would want to schedule a live stream, I don't know.
Why anyone would want to be an orphan is beyond me. That's the second time I've done a movie reference that you didn't get.
Is that Annie?
Yeah. Emily, you did get it.
I can get things sometimes if I thought it. What do?
We do a line read.
Oh, it's me.
And it is you.
Because it's even. Did I write something down? Let's see.
I know there's lots of bullshit in this episode.
Oh yeah, but this one we just choose when it says a day.
Yes, it's like so it's this time of time.
It's just the first part of the chapter.
Usually.
Unless something exciting happens in the second half. Okay. The next day, however, Harry had barely grinned once. Nope. The next day, however, Harry barely grinned once. Things started to go downhill from breakfast in the Great Hall. The 4 long house tables were laden with tureens of porridge, plates of kippers, mountains of toast, and dishes of eggs and bacon beneath the enchanted ceiling. Today, a dull, cloudy gray. Harry and Ron sat down at the Gryffindor table next to Hermione, who had her copy of Voyages with Vampires propped open against a milk jug. There was a slight stiffness in the way she said morning, which told Harry that she was still disapproving of the way they had arrived. Neville Longbottom, on the other hand, greeted them cheerfully. Neville was a round-faced and accident-prone boy with the worst memory of anyone Harry had ever met. Mail's due any minute. I think Gran's sending a few things I forgot. Harry had only just started his porridge when, sure enough, there was a rushing sound overhead and 100 or so owls streamed in, circling the hall and dropping letters and packages into the chattering crowd. A big lumpy package bounced off Neville's head, and, a second later, something large and gray fell into Hermione's jug, spraying them all with milk and feathers.
Cute. Super cute. I didn't do my thing this week.
When you did, I opened accidentally a message of someone telling us she was a Hufflepuff, but I wrote it on my calendar.
Okay, and I usually check like the most recent messages anyway. So, because I always get like I have to check like the most like last 10 messages to make sure I don't miss anything. Mm-hmm. So I'll check them.
Okay.
All right, then I think we're good unless you have any updates. Okay.
Nope.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
This is Marin.
This is Emily.
And this is
Remember Harry Potter.
Welcome to this week's episode of Remember Harry Potter. We are in Chamber of Secrets, Chapter 6, Gilderoy Lockhart.
That asshole.
That guy. I really don't like him. He gives real big narcissistic personality disorder vibes. You know what I mean?
So bright they shine.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
What happened last time?
Well, there was this whole thing where Dumbledore thought it was a good idea to let Harry and Ron fly to the castle by themselves, and they almost die several times. Heat exhaustion, tree, thirst from Snape.
They literally did almost die, and Dumbledore was still like, please explain to me what happened. After McGonagall was like, please explain to me what happened. After Snape was like, explain to me what happened.
The worst thing about that is 2 out of 3 can read your mind, so it's like, why am I explaining myself to you people? You know?
I do know, and I do hate it.
Wait. Do we now have to read this through the lens of them being like Edward Cullen? They can't overhear, though. They just look into your eyes. Okay, phew.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like they're just constantly like overhearing people's conversations. They have to it's a thing.
Yeah.
You have to turn on your legitimacy. What is it called? Legitimacy. Good grief. They have to turn it on.
Yeah.
Luckily, the night ended up pretty good because by the time they got up to their room, Everybody in Gryffindor was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard of. Everyone except for Percy and Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. So
Well, after we recorded last time, I went to bed and I just thought all I could think about was Hermione.
Okay.
Because Hermione got to the platform 3 hours before everyone else.
Yes, she did.
She went to every single compartment on that train.
Absolutely.
She talked to the conductor, whatever, just like she did last year, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody shows up except for Ron and Harry, so she spends the whole first half hour of the train going to everyone being like, have you seen Harry and Ron? And they're like, last year it was a rat, this year it's your best friends. Like, what is this girl's problem? To every single person on there. And after her loop, she's like, they're not here. So she goes to the conductor and she's like, hello, my best friends are not here. Turn around, help me. And he's just like, I cannot hear you over the train.
You know all of this because you are Hermione.
So Hermione, the rest of the time, is like, where are those freaking idiots? What are they doing?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
She gets there. They're still not there. There's a sorting. She's like, hello, every teacher. Do you guys not notice that Harry Potter is not here? And then she sees Snape leave and she's like, what the fuck is happening? And then dinner's over. They're still not there. McGonagall leaves. Dumbledore, she's like, is anyone going to explain to me what's happening? So she goes running around the whole castle trying to find them, finally gets to the common room, and they're just like, ugh, Hermione, bye. They say like one word to her, and then they go to bed.
I don't know if you guys could hear that, but if you did, it was the sound of my heart breaking into a million
Hermione.
pieces for Hermione Jean Granger. I am absolutely devastated by this.
They don't deserve her at all.
They never do. Never do they deserve this human in their lives. And she's stuck with these assholes the rest of her entire life. Spoiler alert. She never gets away from them. In fact, she's freaking related to them for the rest of her life. And they don't deserve her.
No.
All they put her through. For 7 years, they put her through this garbage.
And all of this day, Harry's just like, Hermione's still mad at us because we didn't get punished enough for this. It's like, no, she's mad at you because you blew her off after she had a terrible day.
She was scared and you ignored her. Okay, so last night was good for Harry and Ron, but today is not as good, and that's fine. Now he deserves it. And even though Harry lives in a magical castle with his best friends, life isn't always fun and games, okay, everybody? So like this morning, Hermione is still really not happy to see them.
As she should be.
She's giving them the cold shoulder, and they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. They don't realize why. Also, can we just talk about mountains of toast?
That's my dream breakfast. Guess what I've eaten today? I'll tell you.
Okay.
First, I had about 20 ounces of cold brew coffee.
Nice.
And then I had a piece of butter toast with a little bit of cinnamon on it. And then I had 16 ounces of hot coffee. And now I've had water. I love toast.
I'll tell you what I've had today.
Okay.
2 toasts. One with jelly, one with peanut butter. For only the last bite, I put them together, realizing that I didn't just make 2 unrelated toasts, but that I in fact made a PB and jelly.
We are toast sisters. If you guys have listened to us from the very beginning and heard every bonus ode on Remember Twilight, you will know that we are toast siblings. We like toast, but we like it differently.
We do, yeah.
We're sisters, not twins, about our toast.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I ate today.
Me too.
Yours minus the coffee and water. Oops. We'll eat later. It's fine.
We will. We'll have dinner. I promise. We should eat during the live. It's fine.
I just read all these words here now and was like, breakfast sounds really good.
I ignored the food. I went on with my life, as is a normal thing for me every day.
Yeah.
I have issues, you guys. It's fine.
Wait, can we also talk about how Hermione's reading Twilight?
She is. She's reading Voyages with Vampires.
You can't tell me that any of Gilderoy's books aren't just like Twilight.
He's just fanficked his whole entire life.
It's a self-insert him in these like fantastical fantasy novels.
She's got it propped up onto her milk, and she's eating her toast mindlessly. She's just picking up because it's a mountain, one at a time. She chose the buttered toast, I like to believe. Maybe not, I don't know. But she's taking bite after bite as she's reading about Gilderoy Lockhart as Edward Cullen on his adventures.
He's Bella Swan, actually.
Gilderoy is Bella.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be the main character.
Yes.
True. So Hermione's like ignoring them. She's reading her book. She's like, whatever. Neville is like, what's up, y'all? Hey, I totally forget everything, but my grandma's going to send me all my stuff. And I had a question for you. Do you think Neville is forgetful, or does he have ADHD? Yeah. And he's a neglected, like, gifted child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's happening here is he gets a bad rap all these years, but we learn several years from now that he is a freaking master of magic and heroics.
Yeah.
He leads the entire army to victory. And so he's not just like a forgetful, dumb little kid. He just has ADHD and it's untreated.
That also, he is like so focused on like pleasing everyone that I feel like that overrides like normal remembering things too.
It does.
It's like he's so focused on other things that he forgets.
Yeah, well, he's like
he prioritizes incorrectly.
Exactly. I mean, imagine Neville getting ready for school. And he's like, I'm leaving in like 3 weeks, so I have to get ready. So he starts packing, but it's like, it's 3 weeks away. So he still has to like use those things on a daily basis. And by the time it's time to go, he's so mad. He's so worried that Graham's going to be mad at him about something that he just throws everything in and then they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And he's forgotten half of his stuff because it was sitting next to the suitcase instead of in it.
Yep.
And he was like, I don't want to make Graham mad. I love her. I don't want to make Uncle mad. I'm going to do my best. And he's just doing his best.
Yeah.
I love Neville. Okay. So Neville's expecting a delivery from Grandma. And he's like, it's going to be here soon. And so the morning mail, which is 100 or so owls, all fly in at the same time and start just like dropping packages on children. And Errol, who is Ron's family owl, he's flown through the night to deliver this howler. You know, it takes the Hogwarts Express an entire day to get there. And Errol is just a little tiny, bedraggled owl missing feathers. And he's flying all night long because Molly is like, I don't care. I'm sending this letter to Ronald. I'm so angry. And so Errol just like finally gets there and he's like, I see the end. And he just drops into Hermione's milk.
Unconscious.
And Ron is like, oh no, picks him up by the foot, shakes him out, puts him down on the table, grabs the red envelope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Harry is like, oh, what'd you get? And Neville and Ron are like, oh no, what did you get? And of course Hermione's like, oh my gosh, these idiots. So it's a howler. And Neville's like, you have to open that and you have to get it over with. I've gotten loads of howlers from my gram. You got to open it. And Ron picks it up and the edges of the envelope just start smoking. And Neville is like, covers his ears with his hands. And then the envelope just explodes with noise. So much noise that the dust is shaking from the ceiling. Plates and utensils throughout the hall are just clattering into each other. Children have all turned completely toward. Is it recording?
No.
Oh no.
It stopped again.
What is going on with our thing?
No.
I'm okay with doing all of that over if we want. That's only 3 pages.
Let's see. Let me save it and re-listen. My laptop just like goes to sleep.
Oh.
Sometimes, but not. It's not like on a timer because other recordings it'll be fine the whole time.
We can start using my laptop if you want to try it.
We might need to.
I need to free up some space, but we can start using that.
Let's see.
Although we did some real solid stuff in there that I won't remember. Like all that stuff about Hermione. It was so good.
Chapter 6.
Should we and can we just put the table next to this table
Yeah, I just have to change how it's plugged in because right now it's around the desk and it wouldn't pull over.
Because I have tried to like look at it, but I was kind of crouched down in my chair and I wasn't looking like I should have been.
Wow, that was just the bonus episode. What the heck? Ah!
So it didn't record any of that?
No, I just resaved it as the wrong thing.
We have this. But it's a Harry
You're
Potter.
our only hope. I just don't know how good the quality is on those, so we can try.
It can't be that bad. I mean, we're sitting right in front of it. I mean, it can't be that great either.
Yeah. Why do you keep doing this? So rude.
I know, now I'm scared.
Click, click, click.
Boop, boop, boop. Do you want to? I don't know. Do you want to start over?
We could.
To do all that stuff about Hermione again?
Yeah.
Can you? I can't. I mean, I can, but that was like so good. It was such good stuff. Luckily, I basically write a script for myself.
Yeah.
But still.
Take 2. It was like 15 minutes of a potential weird noises running around upstairs recording.
What do you want to do?
We can just record from here out, and if we need to go back, we'll...
You know what we could do is just
on.
like, if we have the sound and we listen to it, we might be able to just re-record it. I don't know. Exactly the same words with just better sound. I don't know. Is that dumb? It was just so good. I felt like we were on such a roll.
I know.
Should we just keep going?
Let's just keep going.
Okay, I'm going to start over from the noise of the howler.
Okay.
Okay, the noise of this howler is so loud that it's literally shaking the dust off of the ceiling of the Great Hall, and all of the plates and utensils and cups of the kids are just rattling around on the tables, and every kid in the Great Hall has turned to stare at Ron Weasley and the voice screaming from the howler. And so it's Molly, and she's just lecturing Ron about what a stupid thing it was to take the car, and how Arthur is now in trouble at work, and how Ron and Harry could have died. And Harry is like, oh no, I knew she was going to say my name eventually. And how, if he does anything else, they'll pull him from school. And then, like, after all that screaming is over and the letter has literally burst, like, spontaneously combusted into flames and burned itself out, the kids in the Great Hall all just, like, either start laughing or they're just like, man, that was stupid, or that sucked. Like, they just start going back to their, like, normal. This just goes to show, this is a perfect representation of how you might be super embarrassed about a thing that happened to you, but most of the people who either witnessed it or heard about it literally don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, that was just a thing that happened to that person, but they're so wrapped up in their own stuff that they're just going to go back to their lives. So we can all just, like, chill when embarrassing stuff happens to us.
The thing I love about the howler, I just want them to be real. Like, how satisfying would it be to sit down and, like, just yell at a piece of paper about how mad you are about something and be able to send it to someone, and instead of them getting, like, a text or, like, an email where they get, like, no voice inflection or anything, it, like, literally yells at them for you.
Okay. It's a nice idea, but imagine the misuse of that power that would happen. It would be like Facebook came to life.
Bullying mail.
Yes, it would be bullying mail. It would be torture mail. It would be Facebook come to life. I just can't imagine how terrible it would be.
But when you really want to, like, yell at someone...
Do wizards wizards and witches have to get permission to send a howler, maybe.
Ooh.
Like, they're like, okay, I understand that this is like not something that should be used lightly. I shouldn't embarrass my kid like this all the time. But this is an extenuating circumstance. Dear Dumbledore, may I please send Ronald a howler? I am so angry at him. And Dumbledore is like, no, you may not. But McGonagall is like, yes, you may. Right? So I don't know.
I don't know, because if you remember later on when everybody thinks that Hermione and Harry are dating, Hermione gets terrible mail sent to her.
That's true.
What, like, leaks gross potions on her and makes her hands hurt.
So you don't have to get permission for anything.
No, I feel like every celebrity gets like 40 howlers a day, and they just like have a person who handles the howlers.
This sounds terrible. So Hermione is like, well, Ronald, and he's like, shut up, I do not need you to tell me that you told me so, or whatever. And Harry is like, I feel terrible about this. But before they can sit and dwell on it, it goes perfectly timed, because McGonagall is like, I have to damage control what just happened. And so she like grabs her stack of schedules and she runs down the table and just like starts checking schedules at the kids. And the first class that these kids have this morning is double herbology with the Hufflepuffs. Imagine a better time.
There is none.
It doesn't exist unless it's dinner with the Hufflepuffs.
True. But like, start of your week, wake up early, go to the greenhouses and hang out with Hufflepuffs. Like, that's a good start to your week.
Honestly, that would get me going every week.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, yes, Monday mornings are not terrible. So now that the howler has sufficiently shamed the boys, Hermione's friends with them again. Right?
She's like, good, now they feel as stupid as I did all day.
Yes, and they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
So they head to class and everything's fine. And when they get there, everyone is like just kind of waiting outside. And up the hill comes walking Sprout and Gilderoy Lockhart. So Professor Sprout is all beat up and she's covered with bandages because what she had been doing all morning is mending the Whomping Willow's wounds. And she's just a mess. She's in bad shape from it. But Lockhart is like perfect. He's perfectly put together. He's wearing a shiny turquoise hat. I don't understand his costume. I didn't mean to say costume. I meant to say outfit, but costume came out because literally he's just wearing a costume for his first day of teaching.
Yeah. Poor Sprout, though.
Poor Sprout. I mean, she had to go out there and not only do a job that she knows how to do, which is mend the Whomping Willow, which is a hard job, obviously, because she's bandaged up real bad. But she had freaking Gilderoy Lockhart there trying to tell her how to do it, and no way was he telling her correctly how to do it. In fact, he was probably pestering that tree so much that she got hurt worse because he was there.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you guys why. Because he's the worst. So they all walk up and she looks awful and he looks amazing. And he's like, hello, children. I was showing your Professor Sprout here how to fix the tree. But don't worry, he's not better at herbology than her. He's just hung out with a lot of Whomping Willows in his time. Like, he's like, I love hanging out with Whomping Willows. I've done it lots of times. She's still a really good herbology teacher. You'll be fine. And then she's like, go to Greenhouse 3. Like, she's just done with him. Mm-hmm. And so all the kids are really excited because they've never been to that greenhouse before. And it has cooler plants than Greenhouse 1, which is where they've always been in their first year. So they all go over there. But before Harry can go in, Lockhart is like, Harry, I must talk to you. And he starts in on some bullshit about he knows why Harry decided to come to school in the flying car. Like, he's like, I know that you wanted that attention. You got that, like, taste of fame when you were on the front page with me in the bookstore. And Harry is like, dude, this guy's teeth are so big.
He has just one big tooth. And I can see the whole thing all the time.
Yeah, Lockhart, like, even without trying, has just one tooth that goes from one side of his mouth to the other side of his mouth is just shining. And Harry's like, Okay, first of all, I don't care about being famous, and I certainly don't care about you, but your teeth are sure big. And so Gilderoy Lockhart is like, you don't need to rush into fame, but you don't need to rush into fame by flying cars and stuff just to get noticed. And you know, I know that you're already a tiny bit famous because some people know who you are from that one time when you know who happened. But getting a smile award is much cooler. And then he just walks away. And Harry is like, that guy had one tooth. Like, that was weird. So Harry's like, grown-ups suck. And he goes into the class where what they are going to be doing today is repotting mandrakes.
Fun.
That's an interesting way to describe it. So Professor Sprout is like, who can tell me the properties of mandrakes? And nobody knows except Hermione. Love it. So what it is they have restorative properties that can be used to return someone who has been either transfigured or cursed to their original state. But there's a caveat. You don't get something that completely heals you without it being really, really dangerous. Because literally, if anybody hears the cry of a mandrake, dead.
You know, here's the thing.
What? This seems like a risky thing.
It is. However, why not just plant some mandrakes around in case Voldemort does show up again?
Well, they've got a whole greenhouse full of them.
Well, you don't know if you can get them in there. You just need to have them randomly throughout the grounds. You see them, you earmuff up
some pods. Yes, you're actually right. Because like they could have them at every entrance to the castle. Because I think they grow better out. They're like a sun plant. They have to have sunlight or heat or something. They don't do well in like the cold British air or whatever. So you have to have them like potted next to the door so you can bring them in at night, right? So they're next to the door and they have an earmuff on the pot.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is a good idea. Still very risky.
I'm definitely with children around.
Dead. Literally, you die if you hear the cry of a mandrake. But these mandrakes are still really young, she tells everybody. So she's like, all right, everybody grab some earmuffs and make sure that your ears are completely covered. She doesn't tell them yet that they're going to die.
Why is she not just using a spell to like block everyone's hearing?
It's Hogwarts. Because still she hasn't told them that they'll die. She just says it's dangerous. So they all put on their earmuffs and they can't hear anything. And then she's just like sign languaging. She's like, waving, hi everybody, and then she grabs the top of the plant, which is just like a little puffy, like leafy guy. She grabs it, she pulls it out, and they're like all surprised. Like Harry gasps, but he can't hear himself, and I'm sure they all gasp because what comes out is like this super ugly baby. Like it's like an ugly root baby, and it's screaming obviously, but they can't hear it. And then she like chucks it into this next pot and like plops a bunch of dirt over it. And then she's like, thumbs up. And they all take off their earmuffs. And it turns out that since the mandrakes are young, they won't kill you yet, but they'll literally knock you out for hours. So they all are like, all right, here you go. Day number 1 of year number 2. Hopefully you don't die. Because like, what if one of them is like a really high achieving mandrake and it's like older for some, I'm so nervous about this. I can't get past how nervous this makes me. And so all of the kids are like, all right, we have to put 4 mandrakes on a tray and get in a group and repot these mandrakes. That's it. We don't get a practice. We don't get like a practice, keep your earmuffs on and do it with a fake mandrake. Nope. We're going straight to a real mandrake, real earmuffs in a group with 12-year-olds. Cool. So they all get to work repotting, and while they're getting ready and getting all their supplies, the trio meets a curly head who is named Justin Finch Fletchley for some reason. Why would you name a kid that? It's very rude. He's basically a teenage Lockhart. And he's obsessed with Harry because he's famous, and Hermione because she's smart, and Ron because his car flies.
Mhm.
And this Justin kid absolutely loves Gilderoy Lockhart. So this kid, he is Muggle raised. He was meant to go to Eton, which is like, I think it's a boys' school in England. I might be wrong about that. Please correct me. I love being corrected, especially by British people. I'm not exaggerating about that. I love it when our British people are like, actually, Marin, here's the truth. But he's supposed to go to Eton, but he chose to go to Hogwarts when he found out that he was a wizard. And just like every white male, he chose the path of power, right? He could have chosen like Eton, where he's going to become like every other white dude he knows. He's like, no, I could be like every other white dude I know, plus know all this magic. So that was the choice he made. All right, hold on. So luckily they have to put on their earmuffs to work, so they don't have to listen to Justin anymore. And so they are repotting the baby mandrakes, and it's basically like working out in dirt. And they get it all done, and after class they're all filthy and sweaty and covered in dirt. So they have to go back to the castle and wash up before they go to their next class, which is Transfiguration with McGonagall. And they're like, okay, her classes have always been difficult, but right now it feels really hard to do them because Harry forgot everything he learned last year. But I want to give Harry a big break here, as I want to do, because he was traumatized.
He almost died.
He was traumatized at the end of last year.
Yeah.
I think he gets the whole second year off. When you almost get killed by one of your professors, you don't have to go to school the next year.
True.
I mean, you can if you just want to hang out with your friends, but you don't have to do. Exactly.
Yeah.
No coursework.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I don't remember any of this stuff. And so he just chases. Okay, what's happened is McGonagall is like, all right, you guys, it's Transfiguration Part 2. Last year we did like really simple things, just like changing something into something without whatever. We're going to see if we can still do it. So she puts a bunch of beetles on their tables, and she's like, turn those into buttons. And so Harry is like chasing a beetle around instead of changing it into a button. And Ron is having an even worse time because this poor kid, I forgot, but his wand is super broken. He has like spello taped it back together, and he refuses to write home for a new one because he knows his mom will just like blame him and send another howler. But I think that she wouldn't. What do you think? I think that Molly would send him a new wand.
Not only that, but at the end of that, like, it says about how, like, it's smoking and sparking and things, and, like, he accidentally squishes his beetle because he can't see.
He squishes the beetle.
And so he goes and tells McGonagall, and it says McGonagall wasn't pleased, but if McGonagall can get permission to spend 1,000,000 galleons on a broomstick for Harry Potter, she can get 7 to buy Ron Weasley a new wand.
There really are only 7 galleons, and either McGonagall could get him a new one. They probably have old ones just laying around the castle in like what's his face's drawer. Like I bet Filch has a whole bunch of wands that he's stolen from kids over the years. Also, I just really have to believe that even though Molly was angry, she's not going to let him go to school without a wand.
Yeah.
He's just scared because he's a kid and he's 12. And kids are super dramatic. Like, I've heard so many kids over the years be like, my mom's going to kill me. And every time I'm like, okay, sit and think about this for a second. What do you think your mom's actual reaction is going to be? And every single time they're like, she'll just be like a little mad, but she'll do it for me anyway. And I'm like, absolutely 100% Molly would get Ron a new wand.
Yep.
He just doesn't want to ask her because she scared him. Another lesson, please don't scare your kids. Then they don't trust you anymore. So anyway, they go to lunch after that. And Hermione has turned a bunch of her beetles into buttons. And here I'm asking once again, is transfiguration ethical?
I knew you were going to bring this up again.
It's important to me. I don't think that we should be turning living things into inanimate objects for our own personal use. I think it's rude.
It is rude.
These
super rude.
Beetles, like, they're beetles. Humans kill bugs all the time like it's nothing because we think that they're insignificant and they don't matter. but I have to believe that they have some sort of feeling. They have relationships. I don't know. Maybe I'm being like way too stupid and I shouldn't be anthropomorphizing beetles, but I feel strongly that it's unethical to transfigure them, or even like especially mice and rats. We shouldn't be transfiguring them into teacups.
Yeah.
feel
I don't
strongly
disagree
about
with you.
Okay.
Also, again, Hermione, perfect skills. And she's like, guys, look at all my buttons. They ignore her.
They're so rude to her. They're so rude
She
to
needs
her.
friends who apologize when they leave her alone all day and congratulate her on her cool magic.
Yeah. What I really can't wait for her, for Hermione specifically, is when she becomes older and she actually makes friends with Luna. Because Luna's a true friend. Oh my gosh, okay. So, Harry is like, okay, here's another thing. Harry and Ron are such idiots, they can't possibly look at their own schedules. They have to rely on Hermione the entire day to tell them what class they have next. So they're like, what class do we have after lunch? And she looks at her schedule and she's like, oh, we have Defense Against the Dark Arts. And she's excited. And so Ron and they like look over at her schedule and she's drawn like tiny little hearts all around all of the subjects, like all of the Defense Against the Dark Arts class that she has with Lockhart, because she thinks he's cute, which is fine. I get it. Like, I've had crushes on terrible men before too. And they're like, oh, why'd you draw hearts all over your lesson? And she grabs it. She's super embarrassed. And okay, everyone, we are about to meet someone special. I got choked up. I didn't expect it. I got super choked up about this next scene that happens. So after lunch, the trio go outside to hang out because you're not allowed to hang out inside in Britain. So they go outside and they're hanging out in the courtyard. And suddenly this cute little first year boy is like right there. Like Harry and Ron are just talking about Quidditch and Hermione's reading her book. And this little boy is there all of a sudden. And he's a little boy that Harry had noticed him getting sorted last night when they were looking through the window before Snape came out and got them. And so he introduces himself. His name is Colin Creevey, and he is so excited to be at Hogwarts. He's a first year, and he's a little kid. He's been Muggle raised by his dad, and his dad is a milkman. I never read this part before. Like, I've read this book many times, and I never thought about Colin Creevey before today. Literally today. He's raised by a single dad, as far as I can tell. His dad is a milkman, and Colin was like, I never knew that all the weird stuff I could do was magic. But now that he's here at Hogwarts, and he's a freaking Gryffindor, same as Harry Potter, he just can't believe how lucky he is. So what he did was he brought a Muggle camera with him to school so that he could, I'm going to cry. He brought this Muggle camera to school so that he could take pictures and send them back to his dad. This is so sweet. I never gave Colin the credit that he deserves.
No, I saw the same thing too. It's like, this is like a little Harry Potter if Harry wasn't like
absolutely.
This is like, what Harry would have been like.
His dad, I'm sure, was like so excited for him. Like, oh my gosh, my weird little kid is a wizard. Of course he's going to school. And so I bet you he spent all his money, because I'm sure that a milkman doesn't make very much money, and he's just doing his best to like raise his son all by himself. And so he buys him a camera and he's like, I want you to take pictures of everything and send them back to me with your owl. Like, how exciting is this?
Yeah. So it's this like really adorable first introduction. And before Harry can even respond to this, Draco ruins their entire future relationship together.
Right?
Because he comes and he makes fun of what Colin says, because Colin's like, can I maybe get a picture of you? Or maybe your friend can take one of both of us and maybe you could sign it for my dad.
Yeah.
And Draco comes over and he's like, you're giving out signed pictures. And from that point on, every time Colin comes around Harry, Harry's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because
it is heartbreaking.
Draco makes a big deal about it right now before Harry even gets to be like, hi, I'm Harry.
Like, I really think that if Draco hadn't interfered here, they could have actually been buddies. Because Colin's kind of a cool kid. Like, his whole thing is he's like, I heard that if I develop this film in a certain solution, in a certain potion, the pictures will move. And Harry, that was like one of Harry's most exciting discoveries when he first went to Hogwarts, was that the pictures freaking move. He's just like Harry. He's new Harry, but he was raised by a loving father. It is so sweet. So, of course, Draco, I guarantee, had been just like around the corner, like watching through binoculars the whole time. And when he
has his Harry scope out.
His Harry scope, yes. And he sees this and he just can't stand it anymore. So he gets all loud about how Harry is giving away signed photos. And Harry and Colin and Ron all tell Draco to shut the fuck up. But of course he will not. Like, they're all so brave. Like, they're just like, we don't care. We are not going to let this bully win. And all three of them tell him to shut up. And he just keeps going because he's Draco. And first he makes fun of Harry for almost dying when he's a baby. And then he makes fun of Ron for getting in trouble and for being poor. And just when Ron is literally, he like grabs his broken wand and he's going to hex Draco, Hermione's like, wait, hold on, look out. Because freaking Lockhart is coming over. And everyone in the courtyard has heard all of this. And Lockhart is an idiot. So he actually believes that Harry was trying to give away signed photos. And he's also an egomaniac. So he offers to be in the photo with Harry. This is not what Colin wanted. He didn't want a picture of freaking Gilderoy Lockhart. He wanted a picture of him and Harry. I'm so upset about this.
Yeah.
So Lockhart is like, I'll be in the photo with Harry and then we'll both sign it. And Colin's like, okay, I guess this is the best I'm going to get. So he takes the picture and then Lockhart just like shoos everyone in the courtyard off to class. And he takes Harry, who is just like, this is literally the most embarrassed I've ever been. He is miserable. He hates this. And he's like, hey, listen, Harry, when you are offering to give photos to people, it looks like you're trying really hard to be famous. And Harry's like, that's not what I was doing. And he's like, you're not famous enough yet to be giving out signed pictures. You have to wait until you're as famous as me. And Harry's like, that's not what I was trying to do. The whole time, Lockhart is like, blah, blah, blah. You're not famous. I'm famous. Here's how you become famous. When you're famous, you can give out signed pictures of yourself. And Harry's like, shut up. And finally, they get to Lockhart's classroom. And Harry is like,
he has to straighten his outfit because Gilderoy's just been like dragging him all the way up to the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom.
It's a literal disgusting nightmare. Like, this man is a narcissist and he's like creepy. He's like grooming Harry. It's horrifying. And so Harry just like runs to the back of the classroom and sticks all 7 of his Gilderoy Lockhart books in front of him on the desk and hides behind them. He's like, I don't know what to do. And Ron and Hermione come in. And Ron, being Ron, goes back and he's all, yo, if we tell Colin about Ginny, they can have like a Harry Potter fan club. And Harry literally goes, shut up. If Lockhart hears you say the words Harry Potter fan club, I'm never gonna hear the rest. Like, he doesn't say that, but that's what he's thinking. He's like, do not say those words. And so Harry doesn't want Lockhart to hear that. The students all file in, and Lockhart starts his first lesson all about himself and makes them take a quiz on their reading about him. So the quiz is terrible. It's 54 questions about what Lockhart likes and what his specs are. So,
what is Bella Swan's favorite color?
Yes. So after 30 minutes of making these kids take a 54 question quiz, I don't think that's long enough. I don't think that's how it works. But anyway, so after 30 minutes, he goes and he collects all the quizzes, and he's like, I can't believe that not very many of you 12-year-olds haven't read my 7 books and memorized everything about me on your summer break. Right? Mm-hmm. He's like, I know you're 12. I know I made you buy 7 books, and I know it was summer, but you should have memorized every single thing about me. It's disgusting. Of course, though, Hermione got all of the answers correct.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, who is this? Who is this Hermione Granger? And she like raises her hand all cute. And he's like, 10 points for Gryffindor. I want you guys to know this is the 30th point for Gryffindor she's got just today.
Oh, yeah.
First day, she's already got 30 points. 30 points for Gryffindor from Hermione.
She knows she has to get really far ahead of whatever crap Harry and Ron are going to do.
It's true, but it's not really their fault. So she's like, I'm just going to do everything I can to like keep us up.
Mm-hmm.
So now Lockhart starts his actual lesson.
Lesson?
Well, yeah. So what he does is he goes and he pulls out this huge, big covered like birdcage thing. It's covered. It's got the whole cover completely over it. So it's kind of like not moving. And the kids are like, whoa. And he's actually like, up until now, they're like, whoa, okay, maybe he is for reals. Because he makes this great big, huge, dramatic speech about how his job is to teach them how to defend themselves against scary things. And they all, even like Seamus and Dean, who were like kind of laughing and making fun of him, they get a little bit nervous.
Neville is scared.
Neville is ready to like jump out the window. He's not okay. And they all get super freaked out. And then he like pulls the cover off the cage and it's just like these little blue pixies. And then they all like, everybody just laughs. Like Seamus just like snorts. The whole thing is this huge joke. And he's like, hey, you guys don't know. These are tricky. They're definitely freaky looking. They're bright blue. They're 8 inches tall. They have pointy little faces. They're screaming their heads off. They're making faces at the kids and they're rattling the bars of the cage, but they're just like, they're pixies.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are like, I know what a freaking pixie is. Like, I know I could just like flick it and it'll get away from me. I know they're annoying, but they're just pixies. I thought you were going to show us something scary, which
we just dealt with mandrakes this morning.
Well, and this is the only time I'm going to defend Lockhart, but he is right to start with something small in the defense against the dark arts. So obviously a pixie is kind of like a mischievous and not very nice creature. And so he's like, yeah, I'll start with something small and I'll teach them how to defend against it. However, he does nothing to teach them how to defend against it. He just goes, all right, ready, go. And he just opens the cage. He doesn't say, here's the spell you use. These are the things that you can do. These are steps you can take. Nothing. He just opens the cage and goes, all right, go. And it's instant chaos, instant carnage. These things pick up Neville by the ears and hang him from a chandelier. This is a part in the movie that they did almost exactly like it happens in the book.
Mm-hmm.
These pixies go around the classroom and they are ripping apart books. They're breaking every piece of glass that's in the room. They're hurting children. They're like biting kids. They are hitting kids. They're just terrible. They spray ink all over the classroom. And then Lockhart is like, well, why aren't any of you doing anything? And he tries this bogus spell and it doesn't work. And the pixies are like, yeah, okay. And they pick up his wand out of his hand and they chuck it out the window. And Neville, poor Neville, he falls with the chandelier to the floor. This is
the second time Neville has fallen from a great height during the lesson.
I know. I feel so sad for him. So he's on the floor. The chandelier is next to him. The bell rings and all of the kids are like, bye.
They Edward Cullen out of there.
They do. They just like leave as fast as they can. And unfortunately, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are the last ones out. And so Gilderoy Lockhart just like runs past them. And while he's running past them, he's like, hey guys, can you get all those pixies?
Bye.
And he just leaves. And they're like, what? And Ron, of course they stay. They stay to do it because they're 12. And they're like, I guess so I have to do this thing that this man told me to do. And Ron is absolutely livid. He's had a terrible, very bad, no good, horrible day. And he's like, this sucks. That guy's an asshole. And Hermione is like, I know how to do this. And so she just like does a freezing charm on the pixies and like they stick them in the cage and they get it all done. And she's like, well, he's he's just, I don't know. She's like giving him a lot of excuses as to why it was a bad lesson. And Harry thinks this is all like ridiculous. And this is the first time in this book that anyone insinuates that maybe Lockhart is lying about all the stuff he wrote about in his books. Because Ron Weasley straight up says, yeah, he says he's done all these awesome things.
Mm-hmm.
Bam. Ron Weasley, everybody.
Thank you and good night.
So Ron is like, nope, I don't trust this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He just set pixies on us.
Mostly because Hermione has a crush on him, but also
That's true.
Ron's got like a pretty good intuition.
Yeah,
to be
Ron's
honest.
jealous, but he was raised by members of the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
So he knows when somebody's a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm just going to straight up say it right here, right now. Lockhart's a bad guy, everyone.
Yeah, he is. You know, when you read that he had 7 books, I just like imagined my 7 books, which are of course the 7 Harry Potter books.
Yeah.
But I'm like, J.K. Rowling's kind of a Lockhart.
Yeah, she is.
She's put this entire story together as if she's this great person, and it turns out she's a fraud.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, she is Lockhart.
But Hermione
From
can
now
still
on.
love Voyages with Vampires. It's fine.
I agree. I mean, obviously we have made our entire last 2 years about loving books that are written by somebody who may or may not be problematic. All of the podcasts we do. And it's fine because these are our books and we claim them and we take them for what they are, and we can love something and still be critical of the creator and definitely point out the flaws and laugh about the awesome things.
Yeah.
I love that. But you are so correct.
Well, because it's like all of the like lessons in Gilderoy's books are true because they're based on other people.
Mhm. Well,
and that can
that's-
be the same here. These are based on people that we've created.
Exactly. They truly are. And the way that she wrote that we should be standing up for the underdog. We should be standing up for people who are in minority positions and people who are hurting and people who have been discriminated against. All of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
And just because she doesn't live it doesn't mean that we can't and shouldn't. We should and we can.
Yeah.
And you should and you can. And I stand by that till the day I die. We should stand up for people who have been discriminated against because of things that they can't help, because of the color of their skin, because of their sexuality, because of their gender, because of anything that they can't help and they are being discriminated against. We need to stand up for them and be there for them. And we are. We're here for you.
Yeah.
And since we said that, it's time to go record our Patreon only bonus-ode,
Yay.
or as we like to call it, a Patronus-ode.
Yes. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. If you have any thoughts on Gilderoy Lockhart, please send us an email.
And until then, let's create something magical together.
Bye.
Bye. Ooh, we were on the same pitch right then.
Yeah. Okay, good. The rest of it did fine. I don't know why it's being so weird sometimes.
I don't know. That's really weird. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this laptop is freaking old. So.
Well, I can just, from now on Sundays, I can just bring my laptop down. All right. Well, nobody came and watched it, but they can watch it later.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Love you all. Bye.